We'll go ahead and turn it over to James for roll call.
Good morning. I'll read the roll. Please let us know if you're here. Ty Adley, City of Plymouth.
Here.
Leslie Beek, City of South Bend. Chris Dressel, City of South Bend. Bill Holder, Kosciuszko County. Tim Jackson, Elkhart County.
Here.
Chris Jamrose, City of Mishawaka.
Here.
Sean Klein, St. Joe County.
Here.
Chris Kubasek, Transpo.
Here.
Andrew Lund, City of Goshen.
Here.
Marge McSherry, Kosciuszko County. Sky Metters, St. Joe County. Steve Moriarty, Kosciuszko County.
Here.
All right, gotcha. Jason Peters, Marshall County.
Here.
Jeff Schaefer, City of Elkhart.
Here.
Lisa Schrader, NDOT LaPorte. Derek Spears, City of Mishawaka.
Here.
Justin Taylor, City of Warsaw. Anyone from the South Bend International Airport? Brent Warren, City of Napanee.
Here.
Natasha Weisenbeck, Elkhart County.
Here.
Hey, Zach. This is Lisa Schrader. I am here.
Right, we got you noted, Lisa.
Thank you.
Nicholas Whitwer, Marshall County.
Here.
Matt Yarn, NDOT, Fort Wayne.
Here.
We have a quorum of members present, but we'll only be voting in person today.
Thank you, James. You should all have had a copy of the July 2nd minutes in your packet. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to review those. We'll be looking for a motion to approve if there's no corrections. Motion to approve. Second. We have a motion and a second to approve the July 2nd minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. We will turn it over to James for the secretary's report.
All right, in your packet, you should have the July administrative modifications. That packet document looks like this. Administrative modifications are minor corrections, changes that the TTAC as well as the policy board have empowered staff to make between meetings. You can find that full listing in your packet. If you have any questions about those or the projects attached to them, please feel free to reach out. The public can also find these online. This is presented for informational purposes only. No action is required.
Thank you. There is no old business,
No old business today.
so we will start with new business.
Yeah, and for new business, Kelsey is going to be presenting our transportation resolutions.
All right. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
So today I'll be presenting Transportation Resolution 27-25 with parts A through H. Before we get started, I just wanted to note that some of these may look a little different because they will have multiple desk numbers included, and that is because we're moving to a contract-based tip. So items A through C are locally initiated. Item A is sponsored by the town of Argus. The action is deleting the project, which was a new sidewalk / trail along Marshall, Walnut, and Michigan streets in the town of Argus. Item B is sponsored by MACOG. It is adding the Indiana Rail Corridor Overpass and Improvement Study in St. Joseph and Elkhart counties. Item C is sponsored by Elkhart. This is for the major bridge project on Highway Avenue, east of Main Street, crossing the Norfolk Southern Railroad. The action is increasing funding and moving construction funding from fiscal year 2025 to 2026 and 2027. So with that, we can move on to the NDOT initiated projects. Item D is adding a project which consists of a superstructure replacement and small structure pipelining. The locations for those are US 20 over Clover Road, 1.25 miles east of State Route 331, and US 20 over Phillips Ditch, 0.36 miles west of the east junction of US 31. Item E is for an unbonded concrete overlay project on US 6 from the east junction of State Route 106 to 2.03 miles west of State Route 19 in Marshall County. The action is increasing funding by $13.9 million and changing the work type. Item F is for an HMA overlay project on State Route 933 from Elkhart County line to 1.47 miles east of State Route 331. The action for this one is to increase funding by $5.7 million. Item G includes an HMA overlay structural project and a small structures and drains construction project. The location is US 6 from State Route 104 to the east junction of State Route 23. The action is increasing funding by $2.5 million. And lastly, item H is for an intersection improvement on US 6 at Dogwood Road. The action is adding preliminary engineering to fiscal year 2026. So, are there any questions?
Are they doing that intersection improvement at Dogwood with the same time they're doing the US 6 from 106 to Shawnee? Because that is it's the same.
No,
They're separate.
they are separate. The Shawnee location is supposed to go to construction in 2026. And the Dogwood location wouldn't be till 2029, 2030. So it'll be a few years separated.
Any other questions or discussion on those 8 items? If not, I'd ask for a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve transportation resolution 27-25. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion has passed. We'll move on to staff updates.
All right, so we wanted to make you aware, the Indiana Department of Natural Resources has their grant program for Indiana Trails. That opens September 1st for you to take a look at and consider submittals. That is due October 1st. We can get you all the information on the details of Max Award and the types of projects that they're looking for. This used to be called, if my memory serves me correctly, the Rec Trails program. It's been exchanged and moved around, and but it is now the Indiana Trails Grant Program. So if you're thinking of the types of projects that you might be considering, historically this used to be the Rec Trails program. So if you're familiar with that, this is a very similar setup here. So those are open on September. The call opens September 1st. You have a month or so to submit, with those being due on October 1st. So wanted to make you aware of that as the first kind of trail dedicated funding that's really been open in Indiana for this calendar year. So wanted to make sure that you were aware of it.
And it is a once every 2 year program as well. So so we won't see this again.
Till 27.
27. So
Great point. Also, Health by Design has a program that's available right now, the Safe Routes to Schools mini grant program. This has a much more fast approaching deadline, with it being due on August 22nd. But they are offering these mini grants. Imagine projects that range in the realm of 10,000 to 20,000 that could support various Safe Routes to Schools kind of initiatives. You'll recall that there isn't necessarily in the federal program, a dedicated program that is Safe Routes to Schools. There used to be a very specific carve-out program that was focused on safe routes to schools. A lot of that work is still completely eligible under other elements, but Help by Design is offering a mini grant program. So you could work with some local schools to figure out doing some assessments, figuring out how to do some encouragement, tracking that kind of information, providing some sort of incentivization, et cetera. I feel like the program will probably be fairly competitive because this is a statewide offering. $10,000 to $20,000 doesn't necessarily let you do. I wouldn't imagine doing lots of like infrastructure. This is probably much more programmatic in its efforts and attempts to work with the school districts and specific schools to incentivize and encourage walking and biking to school. So this is due on August 22nd.
All right, so we've got an update to community crossings. Who's excited to get free money from the state? That's what I thought.
Free is a relative.
Okay, well, so there, obviously, as we all know, Senate Bill 1 gave us some problems regarding funding for some of our programs, CCMG being one of them, and we know how critical it is for our infrastructure. So, if you have not seen the latest NDOT, what was it, email that came out about a month ago, within the last month, there will be a call for CCMG, and that will be not only this year, but continuing onward until they decide to, who knows what again. That call will be in October this year, and there are some changes to the program. So in years past, or at least as of recently, there's been a cap for communities at 1.5 million. Because of the state cap of the program for 100 million, that number has dropped back down to the original 1 million per local community per year. So because of that, you may see a little bit less funding for your program. Now, that's not to say that it won't happen and continue to happen, because every single July, starting in fiscal year 27, there will be a call for CCMG funding. So it's just one time a year. It's too bad, but at least there's funding available. Also for smaller communities, instead of the typical 25% match, it will be down to 20%. So maybe a little cost savings as well. Make sure that any of your previous CCMG calls that are 2 years or older are closed out by August 29th, because if you don't, you will not be eligible for CCMG funding this year in October. And last but not least, you must still have an asset management plan approved by Indiana LTAP by December 1st. So we can still help with asset management plans. We're doing nearly 25 a year for our local communities. So if you've worked with us in the past, we'll continue to do it. If you have not, we would be happy to help out. And on that same note, we're still doing PASER ratings for asset management plans. So we've got 9 completed already this year alone. We've got 6 more communities. Some of our bigger communities, Winona Lake, Napanee, Plymouth, which we'll be working on here in the next month or so. So if you are a community that has not worked with us for PASER rating in the past, please reach out. We'd be happy to help you out. And we have lots of time to do it yet until asset management plans are due in December. So I know that's a lot of information to go over in a short period of time, but if you have any questions, I can answer them now.
So will that means the 2024-1s need to be closed
They
out,
need to be closed out. August 29th is the deadline for that.
but 2024-2s do not?
That's my understanding. I can look into that further and do that research.
We can get that clarified for you.
I presume we won't hear if we've been awarded them until the next year.
Yeah, it's going to be a while till we find out. That's absolutely correct. There's not been a timetable that's been released, but
Yeah, I think if I was to take a guess, I'd say you might find out as a Christmas present or something like that, whether or not you have been awarded. I will suspect that it is going to be a fairly highly competitive program, as it is. It's always been a highly competitive program. But if the numbers if my memory serves me correctly, last calendar year, there were about $200 million worth of awards. Yeah, right. Well, I can't remember if that was each call or just in total, right? I think it was total, 250, 300, somewhere in that range. So this is gonna now be capped at 100 million. So you're talking about half the potential money, at least half, right? So that coupled with then, you know, a lot of our communities, counties, larger cities, we're really starting to get into a stride of requesting the $1.5 million. And we were doing pretty well with that, right? So now your impact is also going to go down a little, down to the $1 million, like we used to. So it'll be interesting to see, as David mentioned, this call for, they're calling it for fiscal 26 is October 1st. Is it due right at the end of the month?
31st.
Through the 31st?
Yep.
Yep. And then from there, they'll just revert it. Next year, everything will flip back to the July call for projects. So in the future, we'll have a July timeline. So in the future, it might work a little bit better, in the sense that you submit in July, sometime in September, you know, I don't know, is the timing any better there, right? Like, then you either make the decision to try and rush it in or, you know, get it done in the next calendar year. So, it won't really affect many of you all, maybe a few, but for the smaller communities, as David mentioned, there is some relief on the matching requirements. There's a reduction in 5% of the matching requirement. But it'll be interesting just to see how all this plays out. Also how it all plays out with, you know, the potential of formula funds and all of that. What we're here to tell you though is if you need assistance, please feel free to reach out. We help with PASER ratings. We help with asset management plans. We help with just reviews, those kind of things. We're not engineers. We're not going to play engineers on TV. We're not going to help you with your, you know, project design and project estimates, but we can definitely help with some of the planning and just kind of the things that we're seeing from the community crossings program in general. So it's an evolving situation. I guess the good news is that there is still like a pseudo fall call this year. But don't look at it as a fall call, because it's my understanding, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, that if you applied at the beginning of the calendar year and you were awarded, that those are considered FY25 awards. So this is your next round call. So even if you got money in January, you should be looking to apply this next time in October, because this is considered the next fiscal year's worth of calls. So we kind of skipped a half of a call and went straight into the next call. Because the next time to apply won't be until July, and then the next time after that is July again. So it becomes an annual one call kind of setup. So please be looking at this, be prepared for it, be ready, plan to submit, because this is going to be your one and only till July, and then from thereafter it's an annual call.
Have they changed any of the parameters?
Not to my knowledge.
We haven't seen anything, so not that we're aware of. You know, I think come September, you know, end of September, beginning of October, once that, you know, notice is posted, I think it'll be important to take a review to see what has or hasn't changed.
The one glitch that we found over the years is that we make ADA updates for the sidewalks. Well, that means you move ped buttons, and they would never cover the cost for moving that ped button.
I know that they are, because of how legislation was originally written, there are certain elements of sidewalks and bike and ped that are eligible and some that aren't. You know, the ADA curb ramps is usually always an eligible activity, but not all the ancillary items that come with that. So I understand that.
Yeah, and one thing I'll add to that as well, make certain that when you're submitting this data and this information, typically communities will put in some sort of inflationary cushion, if you will. it's being asked not to do that this year just because of the smaller pot of funds. So try to be as precise as you can, but we all know that's hard to come up with that exact specific number. So just keep that in mind as well. Anything else?
Am I correct in the understanding that the wheel tax is a requirement? Or was that always debated it? Next.
Yeah, I think that's gonna depend on the size of community at some point.
Yeah, I would have to look at that. I don't know that that's necessarily a requirement for this call. So,
I think next year is when it starts to get fuzzy with it.
Yeah.
Right, because then there's the guarantee, they're gonna increase your funding and then that.
but that side is on,
There's a wheel tax split.
yeah, but that is on the formula side,
Correct.
not necessarily on the competitive side. I would have to go back and look.
It shouldn't be on the competitive side.
Yeah.
It should be out of the whole.
Yeah,
Isn't there like a lane miles program coming out next year?
yeah, it is an evolving and continuing kind of process. This is just the first little update. And so it'll be interesting to see how it all kind of shapes out, but there are in future years kind of other channels that this flows through. It'll still be community crossings funding, but it comes through different avenues. And so, but through this avenue, it'll be $100 million pool. And this is the kind of version that you're most familiar with that's already there. I don't think there is that requirement, especially for this call, because of how quickly that turnaround. I mean, you would have had from July to October to try and do that.
I think it's 27
Yeah.
or something like that.
And I can't recall off the top of my head without going back and doing
Because
some
it's 500
reading,
million
if that
portion
is
Indy,
the formula
portion
side. though.
standard,
Yeah,
and then
because
wheel
Indy's
tax.
only eligible for the 50 million if they have
match it.
through like a wheel tax or something like that.
Right.
So,
To match the same
Yeah.
amount.
so I was thinking, my fuzzy recollection was that is on the formula side of things.
Because there's some communities are in the process of drafting their wheel tax in order
We'll
to.
get that clarified for you though.
And we discussed this 2 weeks ago at our LTAP advisory board meeting, and there was not a lot of answers at that point either.
Yeah, my worry was that it didn't matter. You still were capped at the $1 million, whether you used one side or the other of the program. That's what it
Yeah,
sounded like to me.
I can't recall.
So I don't know.
I haven't got that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw it was $1 million coming out of the CCMG funding. And then the lane miles based on the wheel taxing is divvied up.
That's how I saw it.
Based on the
That's
amount of
a lot
lane
better.
miles.
Yeah.
So-
Don't rely on us though for that interpretation, okay? So don't get your hopes up yet, right? Yeah.
What,
I
next
Yep.
year?
Yeah,
I know the mayor's council
Yeah.
has been discussing it, and there's a fistful of communities within our region that are drafting or preparing to draft their wheel tax aspects.
we'll get some clarification for you.
Thank you, David.
Morning. So we're here to finally announce that we've been working with CABS, Kosciuszko Area Bus Service, to implement a new deviated fixed route bus service in the city of Warsaw and a little bit of Winona Lake. So we've been working with them for the past year to kind of complement their current on-demand service that they run throughout the county and come up with a route in obviously the densest area of the county to kind of serve that area more efficiently and hopefully free up some more bus service for the rest of the region. So we just got approval from the city of Warsaw on Monday at their council meeting to implement bus stops within the city. So we're going to be looking to install all those signs and everything over the next few weeks and hopefully have a rollout of this new route sometime this fall, hopefully soon. So yeah, just keep an eye out for that. We'll probably be doing some sort of ribbon cutting, grand opening ceremony for the first week of the bus route. But this is going to be a really cool new service in Warsaw that can hopefully help serve the residents of that area a lot more efficiently and conveniently.
Morning. So as a part of our ongoing process with the travel demand model, Cambridge Systematics has developed a TAC level base year 2023 data, which includes the population and other demographics compiled from census. Why it's important, it's like separate from the block group or census tract geography. The employment categorization is also compiled by MACOG and sent it to Cambridge Systematics based on the next sectors. We'll be having the horizon years projections up to 2055. So it will be like 2030, 2055, 2045, 2040. Now we'll have to review a request to you guys for the plan developments or any land use changes or major infrastructure changes in this region. We'll be sharing the base year 2023 data with you as well, with the maps and everything, just for the verification if we have missed out anything. And also, when we compile the future year demographics, we'll be also having that data with you. So in case if we have missed anything, you can draw your attention to. The next one is the Locus, as we mentioned last time as well. Locus is a platform which will be used for the travel demand model for the calibration and validation purpose, which will be mostly used for the OD trip metrics with the geographics of census blocks, census tracts, counties, TACs, which will include a lot of modes like motorized, walk, bikes, and trucks. Here's the sign up form QR code. You can scan it and send me a request or Caitlin to request to like get the access of the platform. Or you can send me an email. I can send you the link as well. It's pretty straightforward and easy to sign up. And since it will be like for most of you, it will be a new platform. So there is a training session August 13th at 2 p.m. If you would like to join, just send me an email. Just sign up on this form. I'll send you the calendar invite on that. And in case if you're not available on the August 13th at 2, there will be a second training session as well. We'll inform you that as well. And in case if you're not available on that as well, we'll be uploading a virtual training session on the platform as well. So you can access that anytime and have a look at it.
Like we had mentioned, this is a lot of really precise data on, just general trends and information related to vehicle movements, both passenger vehicles as well as then trucks. There's a pretty large component of this that does look at trucks. Whether or not you become familiar with the platform and attend these trainings and learn all of this, or consultants, we'll have that knowledge. And so if there are large questions that you're trying to answer around transportation kind of overall movements on a particular location or a larger corridor, this data can help, really do some looking at some of that analysis. The example I used when we last had this data is, this was many years ago when we had some data similar to this. We were working with the city of Warsaw, and Warsaw really wanted to understand the dynamics of US 30. And as they started to plan for the improvements that may come to US 30, they wanted to understand how much of the traffic is local, how much of the traffic is going, originating in Warsaw or a destination arriving in Warsaw, and how much of it is just through traffic on US 30. And so we're able to take a look at that, model that information, and be able to provide some rough percentages so that they could understand how much of that traffic was local traffic that started and ended within Warsaw, how much of it just started or ended in Warsaw, and how much of it was just going through on US 30, like a Fort Wayne to, somewhere west. So that's the kind of thing that it can do, as well as a whole lot of other stuff. That's just a very simple solution of just trying to relate it. If you're trying to figure out some of that kind of things, we'd love to have you pick our brain about what potential big questions that you're trying to answer right now, because we do have this subscription, we do have this data for a little while, and we want to be able to, we have a few things that we want to do with it, but we also want to consider your questions that you might be trying to get answered and provide that resource to you.
Raj, question on your previous one for the travel demand model. Are you looking to sit down with the different communities, or are you
Yes,
wanting us to reach out to
yeah.
you?
Yeah, we'll be sending out the maps and data with you all, even presenting in TTAC in few months. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll be first we'll look at the base year 2023. Once now we are that's ready, so we'll be sharing it with you. We are in process of developing the future year demographics. So once that's ready, we'll share it with you as well. So first we'll discuss about the base year 2023 data.
Okay. Is that what helps feed the model? So if you think about it, we have a base year, it's like 2023, 2024, and then we do, you know, roughly 5-year bands or so. Is it 5-year or 10-year? Yeah. All right. So we do like 5-year bands. And we layer in on the transportation network, we layer in those various projects that we've already identified that are already being worked on and how that impacts the network. But the other thing that we need to figure out is, you know, what development might theoretically happen that puts new demand in the future on those roadways. Okay. And so that's where the plan developments, land use changes, major infrastructure. The other big one, water and sewer, right? What's your municipal water and sewer boundary looking like over the next 5, 10, 20 years? Not to say that development doesn't occur where water and sewer doesn't exist. That happens, but maybe not with the same density or amount of traffic that impacts the network. All of this is trying to get at best estimates, right? We're not going to be able to predict the future. It'd be really cool if we could, but we're just not going to be able to do that. But what we're trying to do is be able to have enough knowledge, the best available knowledge at this time, to then be able to create those various scenarios and information that feeds into this model, that then when we're analyzing a project, it's feeding in some of those base layer assumptions of where we think development is occurring, planned to occur, or may occur. And that helps just kind of feed the model with all the different kind of inputs that lead to more or less transportation on the system. So.
Yeah, for example, like New Carroll is having like a lot of economic development, and there will be like a lot of jobs by 2030, 2035. So we'll be adding that jobs, but if in case we missed anything, so your input would be much more appreciated, which will be like more precise in the travel demand model.
Perfect. Thank you.
Oh, go for it.
No.
All right. I was going to mention, I went back and looked at my notes for HB 1461, which was the road funding bill. And so looking at it and refreshing my memory a little bit, it separates community crossings into kind of sub elements or sub funds beginning in fiscal 27. So this is considered the fiscal 26 call. But basically moving forward, there'll be this competitive $100 million grant pool program, right? That's what you've known and come to love, you know, the traditional, if you will, community crossings program. We've already talked about those changes, but it caps that program at 100 million. The funding formulas that we're bringing in funding for community crossings is well above 100 million. So you have another aspect of that, which is the amount over the scheduled dispersion into the grant program, aka 100 million, is then put into a direct distribution fund that is distributed based on road miles. Don't ask me if that's lane miles or my notes just say road miles. So I will have to look at that later.
I thought it was lane miles.
I thought it was too. Yep.
Because they
Yep.
kind of screwed it up.
It's not center line. I thought it was lane miles, but all that I have is road miles here. So in order to ask, and this is what I have in my notes, is that in order to access those direct distribution funds, you must have adopted a wheel tax surtax, at least at minimum level. You can still apply to the grant fund to get up to the maximum award, aka $1 million. But the direct distribution is a set annual formula. So right, like that if you wanted $3 million out of the formula, sorry, whatever the formula spits out as your number is your number, but you can still apply over here for the $1 million to the grant fund.
Added together.
Yep.
Right, so I think every
Yep.
community that buys into it adjusts that amount based on the dollars into the pot.
And
Do it, more money for you, but.
and they project by fiscal 27, it would be somewhere between 190 to 250 million, but eventually, in this part, I don't have notes on why, but it flattens to 150 million, the distribution fund. There are the various set-asides out of the community crossings pool, $20 million across the next 5 years for local tracks. It did not sound like that was a new local tracks program. It sounded like that was trying to make more of the existing local tracks projects whole. There is the Indianapolis, Marion County, $50 million if they match it. If you're able to achieve a PASER rating average of 6, your MVH goes from 50% restriction down to a 40% restriction. So a whole lot of other little things. Bill increases the potential speed limit on I-465, right? Like lots of other random things, but those are probably the most pertinent elements to you. So the way I had always viewed it is it's one community crossings program, and then broken apart into a few different elements, but there's a grant program and the distribution program. All of it's community crossings, but it all comes to you in different ways. But it's all added together in your base of, you know, this year you got $2 million in distribution funds because of your lane miles, and you were able to get $1 million from the grant program, so you had $3 million. That's how I had always viewed it. But yeah, the more folks that enact the wheel tax and go into the distribution program, I'm sure there's a certain element of like, you know, how much is available to you.
You said if we have an average of 6, we gotta get all of our roads, so we're 6 or better to get.
I don't know how the average is.
Match less money?
Not to match less, but your MVH has a restriction of you have to put 50% of it on like road preservation. If you're at a 6 or above on average, you only have to restrict 40% of your funds. So yeah, and I don't know how that, if that average is center line or lane line, right? Like, you know, so it's just a small, I'm not saying it's a giant incentive, but it is one of those little things that was in there. So
Ideally, it covers the $500,000 that is no longer there. Yeah. Or better.
yeah. Sorry to circle back, but I looked up my notes. All right. Next, we do have the NDOT freight plan. Just as a reminder, NDOT is working on its freight plan. It doesn't sound like they had planned to wrap that up until really the early part of 2027. Is what it sounded like from the timeline. This is very early, but one of the initial things that they want is folks to fill out this survey. You can scan the link or find it on the website, but it is asking for stakeholders to fill out a survey that they promise. I'm not making this promise, but they promise it will take you no longer than 5 minutes. I mean, that hook has got you, right? I don't know if that's true or not, but what they are asking for is feedback on the goals and objectives of the NDOT freight plan, and then on the preferred freight corridors, the PFCs, if you will. So go take a look, please fill it out. And that is due very short in. It is due by August 12th. So if you have the opportunity to fill that out, or if you work with, you know, various freight forwarders, freight shippers, freight stakeholders, please send it to them as well, so that they have the opportunity to fill this out, and then hopefully to be aware that NDOT is working on this freight plan and that over the next year, there will be a lot of different ways that they could potentially get involved in providing feedback to NDOT on the overall freight plan. So this is the first of many potential updates related to this survey or the plan. So please be involved and take a minute, no more than 5, to fill this out. That's all that I have for you on the NDOT freight plan. And last but not least, Mr. New is gonna, you may have seen this, but there's an ADA Title VI workshop coming up.
So there's an ADA Title VI workshop coming up. It's down in Indianapolis on the 14th. Have any of you registered for it or planning on going? So I got the announcement on Friday. Monday, got online to register for it, and it showed as sold out. So I've got a couple emails in and haven't gotten a response back yet to find out if that is in fact the case or something. It seems odd that it would sell out so quickly.
I don't know. I mean, it's basically like a Taylor Swift concert.
Well, I mean, close.
Yeah, just that next step above.
Select audience.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I can't tell you that there are spots available, but if nothing else, just to kind of reiterate the importance of the Title VI, that it seems that is kind of being stepped up to make sure that you are in compliance with that because of the kind of trickle down of the federal dollars. So if nothing else, make you aware and make sure that you're paying attention to that.
And if you need any help with your Title VI or ADA overall plans, documents, making sure that they're up to date, always feel free to reach out to us. We've always, check with your legal folks and all that kind of stuff, but we've always been able to provide some assistance to make sure that you can stay compliant with NDOT on your ADA and Title VI kind of documentation, plans, etc. So this is a good reminder that if you haven't looked, go take a look at when your county, your city, your towns, Title VI and ADA plans were last updated and see if they need any refreshers. So it's a good reminder just to make sure that those are up to date. We'll see if we can get into that workshop and provide next month any update based on hopefully our successful attendance at that. So,
Do you know, is there a virtual option for that?
I did not see one. That's,
I know sometimes they have, I think last year's they had a virtual option for it as well. But one of the,
see one for this year.
So I know that was discussion that the ADA Title VI was going to be hit pretty hard, and that was discussed of maybe even becoming more substantial on the community crossings applications. I've been talking to LTAP and then Tackney Keys from NDOT, which is their ADA person down there. There used to be 3, now it's down to 1. Of kind of seeing if we could set up the same thing with ADA and Title VI as we kind of do with Pazer. David we submit all that stuff to LTAP, they house it, and they give us that wonderful little certificate that we upload with our community crossings, that we would get that certificate annually. So anytime that we're submitting for project, we could just submit that certificate, and NDOT, it would just kind of take it off NDOT's plate. They can give the parameters, but LTAP would oversee and make sure that we're meeting those requirements.
Yeah,
So we're still working on that. I think Taffany's in favor of it. I just don't know that everyone that else is involved with that is in favor of that. I don't know if NDOT wants to give up that much control of it.
It's not a fun element to control. So I would understand that it is their obligation to ensure compliance, right? You as subrecipients, they are required to make sure that you are complying with those rules. And so I'd understand that they want to make sure that you're compliant. And so they wouldn't want to delegate that authority away because they really can't. But I would think that a better tracked system, which is a better repository and a better, kind of documentation process would be something that would be beneficial for all concerned.
I know Rich at LTAP is, they're, I want to say they're in favor of it, they're definitely willing to take that on.
Okay.
We've had kind of a little bit of a meeting, but again, I don't know how far that's made it through NDOT, so.
Yeah.
I think it would be beneficial for everybody just to kind of have maybe, I'm not saying the plan's not uniform now, it is, but, if it's all running through one place, then it would be a little simpler.
Yeah.
So.
Captain's on vacation this week. It's a problem for me.
Okay. Well, I was gonna go down, there was a ADA Title VI coordinators meeting in Plainfield in July. It was the same day the LTAP meeting was, so I didn't get to attend the ADA workshop, but anybody that's involved in ADA, those are really good. They've been trying to meet quarterly as well. And I think next time it's in Bloomington. So it's a little bit of a drive from here, but there are virtual options for it, and they're usually pretty good.
One other staff update that I wanted to provide, it's not necessarily on the agenda, but just wanted to provide it. You saw earlier in the meeting, we approved adding in the railroad crossing elimination grant, which is for the study and in the Ash Road area for potential overpass and different improvements there, right over by the Robert Young sorting yard between St. Joe and Elkhart counties, right on the county line there. So that study is moving forward. We finally got signed grant agreements. It's been a few months and a lot of waiting, a lot of unknowing of how or if it would move forward. It is now moving forward. We are hoping from a schedule perspective to have that RFP, that request for proposals, request for qualifications, out in August. And then usually that's about a 30-day process. So hopefully later this fall, we'll get that process underway. We look forward to taking those proposals under advisement when we get them from those consulting firms. And then later this fall, being able to start working with the community on really what potential options could work out there. So that is something that will be coming up later this year. When it comes to other discretionary grants, we have limited but positive news for the grant that would connect, that is focused on the planning study for the trail connecting Mishawaka into Elkhart. It is still limited knowledge of what is happening, but we got a letter from Federal Highway the other day that said that it will not require any environmental documents because it is a planning study, right? Not necessarily. Yeah, I know, Chris, right? Like you got excited, like, yes, no. If the project moves forward into construction, of course it will still involve environmental documents. But it was kind of a funny letter in the sense of your planning study will not require an environmental document. That would be a whole fun new hoop. While we always knew and assumed that, the positive news there is that feels like then this is still moving forward, that it is being moved towards a release of funds, a grant agreement kind of thing where we can really start to get that paperwork someday and then get it executed and then get that into motion. We still don't know what that timeline looks like because we have not gotten anything from Federal Highway, but the things that we've heard is that it's being moved over to the new grant template for the grant agreement. So that's positive. We got this letter that says it doesn't require an environmental review. All of these things point to it being positive that it will move forward. When it comes to charging and fueling infrastructure, that $4 million grant continues to sit in limbo with absolute radio silence. So we don't know where that stands. NDOT did, I think it was NDOT or IDEM, I can't remember which, did have a call for private locations to submit for different charging locations. Those were announced, I feel like yesterday. And some of our locations that we had previously been planning. One of them was the firm that we were going to work with and folks, the private sector folks just submitted it. And it was selected, I feel like, in Warsaw. And then there were a number of locations like in Plymouth that wasn't necessarily our original location, but it seemed like Pilot did pretty well in getting selected for a few locations. And so I think the one in Plymouth is at Pilot. Yeah. And so we will hopefully start to see some of those impacts that we had planned with our grant funds still implemented in some other way through different other channels. So we'll let you know if anything ever shakes loose on the charging and fueling infrastructure. But as of right now, it's just in a kind of, we don't know what the future holds for that grant until we kind of continue to sit in stasis with that one. But the other two are moving forward and or at least one's definitely moving forward. One feels like it's moving forward. So just FYI. That's all I have for staff updates.
Thank you. Privilege of the floor. Nope. Any public comments?
Nothing online.
Nothing else. Public. All right. With that, just a reminder, our next meeting is September 3rd in this room. With that, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn. So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. Meeting is adjourned.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you in September. Gosh, that's a weird. September?
Yeah.
There you go. Just the minutes to sign.